Hey, Hoss, how you doing?
Hey, buddy, I've been sitting on this chair here waiting for us to record. Man, it's 5 weeks goes by really fast, huh?
5 weeks happens very quickly. We have a special guest. We have Todd Keisling here with us. Todd, how you doing?
Hey, guys. What's going
on? Todd. Not too much, man. It's not every day that we have an accomplished Bram Stoker nominee, a multi-time book award-winning dude show up. So, hey, what's going on, Todd? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. For your listeners, I am Todd Keisling. I am a 2-time Bram Stoker Award nominated horror author of such timeless classics as Devil's Creek, The Sundowners Dance, Cold Black and Infinite, and many more. So I've been playing video games since I was 4 years old. So when Hoss asked me to come on here and talk about one of my favorite franchises of all time, I couldn't say no.
Yeah, and it is a horror franchise, as we know,
yes.
Survival horror. The quintessential survival horror game, I would say. It's either this or Silent Hill, but this came before. So.
Certainly the most consistent deliverer.
Yeah.
Probably the most successful, but there were many predecessors before the series started.
Yes.
For those talking Sweet Home?
Talking Sweet Home, talking Alone in the Dark.
Clock Tower,
Yes.
But Clock Tower is one of my favorites of all time. But yes, the Capcom original Resident Evil, or Biohazard in Japan, in Japanese. So yeah, it's a classic to say the least. But we're ranking all the mainline games. We're not going into the shoot-offs, the offshoots, all that stuff. The only ones I think that are offshoots we have in here is Code Veronica, and I insisted on Zero, even though I think everybody's going to hate on Zero. But that's the only two that are offshoots from it. I have a lot of good memories of Zero, so maybe I'll balance it out to a D or something. But yeah, we're going to rank all these from S to D or F rank. Do we have F rank? I want to probably add an F rank into this thing.
Yeah, we have an F rank. I do anyway.
Yeah.
For me, the Fs are reserved for many of the titles that are not included in this list. What was it? Outbreak File 2.
Yeah. The Umbrella Corporation game or whatever. It's like a
Gun Survivor.
Gun Survivor. That was another one.
Which in America didn't let you use a fucking gun.
Weird. Interesting.
Because it was right after Columbine, so they stripped the gun con support out of it. Yeah,
that's right. They didn't like that. It was a very hot topic to not have any kind of bangs in your games after a little bit after that. Yeah, it's very interesting. But yeah, we're going to talk about Resident Evil. We're probably going to use the majority of this, but we wanted to talk about some other stuff that we've been playing, obviously. Things that we're excited about this year, or things that we have played. That's kind of what we like to do. Hoss, what have you been playing that you want to highlight today?
There's a big game we'll talk about later. But the other thing that I've been spending some of my time with was part of the Steam Next Fest last weekend. They dropped a demo for John Carpenter's Toxic Commando, which is releasing pretty soon. It's not too far away from now. And it hits the tone. Like the first trailers and stuff that they showed, that was all that like cell animated stuff, I thought looked real cheesy. But no, the game is just like, I believe it's Unreal Engine 5. It's a real looker. It runs really well on a good PC. Especially with this big stupid new monitor that I bought.
It's very big.
It's very dumb. I like it a lot. For those of you listening, I dove into the world of super ultra wide monitors, so I skipped over ultra wide. And fuck that 21:9 bullshit. I went 32:9. And it's an OLED. It's one of those Samsung ones. I got it at open box. It was a good deal. I mean, I felt like, so Valentine's Day came and went, and I didn't have anyone to spend time with for Valentine's Day this year. So I said, you know what? I'm going to spend time with myself. So I invested in me. So to go back to the monitor's great. But yeah, Toxic Commando, it does, like, it feels very, it's not just John Carpenter's concept with his name slapped on the box. It's very Big Trouble in Little China, kind of like goofy.
Okay. I'm interested.
And, it's zombies, and it's a Left 4 Dead-like, it's a 4-player, co-op, experience kind of thing, wave-based combat, like you're driving a truck through one of the missions, and the thing that threads you is that, like, all right, so you're going to have to use the winch to pull something off the wall, or get out and repair the truck, or get out and, fill it with gas and restock your materials. And at that time, they like to throw waves at you and stuff like that. So, one guy's doing a lot of the work. Like, if you remember the mall mission in Left 4 Dead 2, where you have to get the gas to fill up the stock car, it gave me a lot of that feeling, and I was like, "This is great," because between Back 4 Blood and Evolve and a litany of other games that have tried in the wake of Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 to do that thing again, I never once felt like it had the same ebb and flow and complexity to the way that it would mix up enemies for you. I've never felt like one had hit that. And then I also felt like any of the other ones that have ever tried to do that tone.
Right.
It just makes me cringe. And this one, it feels good. Like, I like it. It's, it doesn't go over the top for jokes. It just has humor. And there's a difference, and I really liked it. I'm definitely, if I can get a crew of, it's also crossplay. So if you have friends that are like me and Todd do, who are spread across, like, we have some PlayStation friends and PC friends and stuff like that. And I'm definitely in my PC era once again. So it's nice if that game's gonna have crossplay, and you'll be able to bring people across barriers together to play it. So yeah, if I can get a crew to play this thing, I'm 100% in on day one. And I think it comes out, as of this recording, I think it comes out in like a few weeks. I mean, it's pretty soon. And like, I'm always impressed right now with, I would say like 2023 to 2025 was like a rough time for PC ports. There was all that stuttering that was going on with a lot of games, and that compiling shaders bullshit that was messing with a lot of PC games. It's nice whenever you play something that's not even out yet, that it's like, no, this just feels good right now. Just give it to me. And I really liked it. And I'll stress this again. It's a looker. It's nice, as I said with, Resident Evil time and time again, if you see me posting on social about that game, it doesn't feel like we get event games very often anymore, where it feels like the budget matches the scale, and it makes it feel important or, potential. I'm not saying that this game's going to be a 10 out of 10, but it just feels like this is an awesome thing and not just some B game. Like, it's just nice. Like, it doesn't feel like we get this more than a few times a year anymore, whereas it felt like, if you go back to like 2008 and shit like that, it felt like there was an important game every 6 weeks. And buddy, it just ain't that way anymore.
No, it's not.
No, what we get instead is Highguard going offline March 11th.
Man, Highguard, what a disaster. I played the potential
it.
Of that. The potential it had was a lot, and then
my issue was a lot of it was in the art direction, in the sense that, like, when you look at any image of that game with multiple characters and objects on screen at a time, it feels like somebody just went into like a 3D clip art gallery and went, yeah, that's good. It doesn't, there was no cohesive visual design in there. I mean, and outside of that, it just felt like it was kind of like a mini Dota.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. It was
everybody, like whoever made the financial decisions at that studio, they just dumped all their money into buying that trailer spot. And then then they're like, well, shit, this made it look like the game was so much more than it really is.
Well, and is there much more room, Todd? You know, like, I know you're not a big guy for this sort of stuff, but would you say, like, I thought the door was closed after Apex Legends for these play it as a hobby kind of games. Is there any more room in the space for another one of these?
I don't think so. It would be incredibly difficult for something to try to get an actual foothold in that niche market right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say Marvel Rivals probably had the best performance of that from afterwards.
That's true.
But it's already an established property, so you don't necessarily think of it as a hero. Marvel as a hero shooter, but like it's established properties. People know these characters, so they hopped on. But it had a cohesive idea, and like their design scheme was very like deliberate what they were doing. But that was like the only one it's sort of like said to me like, oh, this isn't a dead genre yet, but to actually latch onto it. Yeah. It's going to be hard. Cause again, like even Overwatch is having trouble latching back on to the thing that it started.
I hear the numbers are way up since they relaunched it as Overwatch 1.
Yes. They took the 2 off.
So say that Overwatch...
Going back to 1, baby.
We'll say that Overwatch lasts as a brand, right?
Right.
And, it becomes this, like, living, breathing thing that 8 years from now is still a viable property, and you have a child.
Yeah.
And this child wants to get into Overwatch because, hey, I hear this thing that you used to like is coming back in style. And... So imagine having to explain to that child the history and lineage of what this thing was. So it was Overwatch, and that was an MMO that they canceled and took out a lot of the assets and made it kind of horny and made it a shooter. And that was sort of popular, and it created loot boxes, and that was a problem. And then they made it Overwatch 2 because they were going to put a lot of single-player content in it. And then Activision became a shit show, and they said, we're not going to do that stuff anymore. So then they canceled that. So then Overwatch 2 didn't really need to be there in setting. And they also pared down the number of players because they thought that was too many players. And then at a certain point, like, your kid's sitting there with a nosebleed going, I'm just going to go back to Fortnite. I'm good. I'm good. I don't... What are you even saying at this point?
Right.
The messy history of that thing is fucked up. But, the one thing when I heard from the people who brought you Apex Legends and Titanfall, I thought, holy shit, they're going to make a new fucking shooter with goddamn robots in it. How the fuck have you not made another goddamn Titanfall game yet?
Titanfall is such a cool concept that they dropped, and it's a shame. It's a shame because it was awesome. Like it was an awesome game.
Why did Titanfall 2 underperform? I don't know. It launched 2 days after Call of Duty and 3 days before a Battlefield game. That's fucking why it underperformed.
Yeah.
Because when Apex came out and it showed how good their gameplay is, and it came out in January by itself, it became a fucking phenomenon because those people know how to make goddamn video games.
Yeah, and a good singles campaign in Titanfall 2 too, as well.
One of the best single-player shooter campaigns of all time.
It's great. And no one talks about it. Like no one talks about that thing. People latched onto Apex Legends, which takes place in the same universe, and it's like just. Go over here.
Since we bring up Titanfall, since the last time we recorded, Vincent Pella sadly passed away.
True. Yes.
That man, like anybody who ever doubts that man's fucking cred is that the man invented Medal of Honor. The man invented Call of Duty.
Yeah.
The man invented Titanfall and then brought Battlefield back from the fucking dead.
Yeah.
Like some kind of wizard. Like, there was no franchise in modern shooters that was more dead than Battlefield. And then he showed up and went like,
nah,
guys,
we can make this good.
what if we don't put a whole bunch of ray tracing in here and just jack the number of players up and just have a good time? It's like,
yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like,
But yeah, like, and I'll wrap all that back around to say, like, you know, so Toxic Commando seems cool just because of the landscape that we're in right now being so kind of fraught with a whole lot of multiplayer games that people don't want. And this is one that people wanted to like Back for Blood. People have wanted to like a lot of these kind of things. And it's been so long since there's been a good one.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think the other game I want to talk about is relevant to what we're talking about now is Resident Evil 9 Requiem. 9 Requiem. They got me with that, by the way. I was convinced they were going to name this thing like Resident Evil something XI, you know, like Vixen or something, and just like, you know, so, to get the XI in there, and then they named it Requiem, and I was like, oh man, they didn't do the Roman numeral thing, and then they turned the Q into the 9, like
The nine
It's 9 is IX, dude.
oh, it's IX. Sorry. Well, Vixen still works. The IX. Sorry. Yes. XI is 11. I'm not good with Roman numerals. It's like, but Vixen still works. But yeah, I was waiting for it to be something with an X in the name, just so they can work that.
Todd, you know, we're going to keep the spoiler free, but you finished this thing. What did you think?
I loved it. It had a nice balance of new things and also callbacks to other entries in the franchise. I mean, it's no secret if you've seen the trailers. You go back to the ruins of Raccoon City. That's all I'm going to say about that. Other than I had a huge smile on my face the entire fucking time.
Yeah.
It was, as someone who's been playing that series since the 90s, it was so cool to go back and see all these things in a different light. And also, they revisit things in the lore of the story that, you know, maybe things didn't happen this way. Yeah. Maybe what we knew about it was wrong. So, you know, I can't really say more than that without going into spoiler territory. But I as a franchise fan, I loved it.
Yeah.
I do want to bring up, like we said, we're not going to go, crazy into, story details or beats or anything like that. But one of the things you talk about how they bring you back, to a Raccoon City, 27 years later, 26 years later, whatever it is, since the disaster, of the events of RE2 and 3. And then the thing that I like is that they give that game for the first hour you're in town a very almost action-y Last of Us 2 feeling, where they first get to the wall of the city and, just the look of everything, the dirt, the grit, but it gives you this awesome, Leon in this game, more so than ever, feels so incredibly godlike powerful in this. So even, you're fighting towering monsters and you're like, this isn't really that big of a deal, which is crazy because when you play as Grace, everything is way bigger than you and everything is fucking terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And playing as Grace, they really went back to survival horror roots. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing I know some people had issues with Resident Evil in the middle of the franchise, especially after 4. 5 and 6 were way more action focused, and they got away from the more intense survival horror elements. With this, you get the best of both worlds. With Grace, it's survival horror first and foremost. With Leon, it's more of the action oriented stuff that you're used to. And it just, on paper, I wouldn't think it would work. I think it would be too bipolar, but they managed to work it together in such a way that it feels fluid.
And it's genius the way that they sew them together by treating Leon's action as a palate cleanser through the first half of the game. And you only get, like, it's a 10-minute segment with Leon in between these really incredibly tense sections of the game with Grace. It's like, you know, because that's one of the things you know, and Todd, you're a horror author, so I'm sure that you can speak to this. You can't keep me shitting my pants for 300 pages. I need to occasionally wipe.
I mean, I wouldn't put it in such terms, but like, you need
I'm no author, so
you need to give from my perspective, you got to give the reader some breathing room from time to time, and there are many different ways of doing that. Maybe you reach like a mini climax in the story arc, and then everybody's kind of like in this, all your characters are like in this space where they're kind of coming to terms with what's happened, but then also looking forward to, okay, well, how do we deal with this? And in those moments, you know, you could also break it up with levity, which Leon certainly does. But you also get this sense of Leon's trauma over the course of this, you know, the last 30 years. And you're seeing him, I don't know, I felt like the writing for Resident Evil 9 was so much more acute this time around. Like, normally it's got some comedic elements. It's like something that's so zany you don't really take it seriously. And this has probably got more to do with the voice actor's delivery, especially Grace's voice actor. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
They really drive home the impact of what is happening around them. You get the sense of how this is affecting them emotionally, psychologically. And that, for me, that kind of gave it a whole Silent Hill kind of spin, because Silent Hill is more the emotional and psychological. Resident Evil has always been, here's a fucking zombie and it's going to eat you. It's in your face. You know?
Yeah.
It's very much tense and upfront right there, but this actually, they give you time, they give the characters time to soak it in, and really, you know, you start to see the effect of what this is all doing to them, especially with Grace.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if Grace's voice actress doesn't win awards, you know, when it's award season again. She's fantastic.
I totally agree. She brings such a human element to it because, like, as you said, you have these 10-minute bursts or so, like these big bursts of action with Leon, which is great because he's this kick-ass, axe-throwing, roundhouse-kicking monstrosity that just takes out these, you know, zombies. And then you're Grace, and you're just this frail FBI analyst who's just got stuck and kidnapped into this situation, and the way that she reacts in such a human manner to everything. She makes no quips. She makes no one-liners, no Bond one-liners anywhere in this. That's all for Leon. That's for you to have that levity when you get to
70% of his dialogue is a Bruce Campbell one-liner, but for some reason, I never rolled my eyes once. I don't know why. Like, normally I'm like repellent to a lot of that stuff. It's like, you know, every time Duke Nukem, like, because I recently replayed Duke Nukem Forever because I hate myself. You know, like every time Duke would drop a line, I was talking to Todd one night when I was playing, and I was just reciting the line back to him and just going like, where's the joke? Like, you know, granted, that was not an especially well-written video game experience. But yeah, like the other thing that I wanted to touch on with Resident Evil 9, you know, is the you know, I talked earlier about like how I got a little bit of the Last of Us 2 vibes, you know, in the Raccoon City portion. Another piece that I thought was so crazy that I can't remember them ever doing, I'm not saying they never have, but I don't remember them ever doing this in the series, is a chase scene on vehicles, and that was very Uncharted. You know, like the awesome chase scene in Uncharted 4 with the Jeep, and, you know, or, you know, the segment with the tank, or the, you know, the helicopter, the train mission, you know, all those awesome like set piece moments from, you know, the Uncharted series. Like that, there's a motorcycle bit, and I'll just leave it at that. That is one of, like, it's dumb, but it's so fun. And like at the end of it, like it's one of those things where you just want to go, woo, right there. You're like, yeah, that was fun. Like I don't feel like I did that much during it. It's not packed with the deepest gameplay. And that is one, if I do have a critique, and I'll drop it right now, I have not finished the game. From what I know, I'm somewhere around 75 to 80%. Mm-hmm. But the one thing that I will say is for ongoing replay in the future, it is shocking how Grace's portion of the game is very traditional Resident Evil, very exploration and puzzle heavy, and Leon's, there ain't none of that shit at all, other than just go here, collect thing, bring it back to put it together with another thing to solve this one puzzle I've encountered so far, which isn't even a puzzle, it's a fucking fetch quest. And that's not a problem. I'm just saying it's very, very different from how Resident Evil has outside of maybe 5 and 6, have traditionally operated. Because even in RE4, there's a lot of put this thing together with this thing and go out here and find this. And there's some thinkums in there as opposed to just do'ems. Yeah. And, but Todd, what did you, am I off base with that?
Not really. I mean, like, Leon's is very matter of fact and to the point. You know, it's like, okay, this is what your obstacle is. This is what you got to do to overcome it. So go assemble these things and, come back here when you're done. But I felt those particular sections actually offered a lot in terms of exploration, just like Grace. Especially if you're going for like all the documents, all the Mr. Raccoon charms, there are some things hidden in the city that I never saw my first time through that I'm only just now learning about. And it's amazing because I thought I saw everything there was to see, and it's just not the case. There's so much that you can discover, and it has an open world feel to it, which, it kind of makes me wonder, what would Resident Evil 2 or 3 even look like if it had more open world element where you could, go around the city. Yeah. And, Resident Evil 3 kind of got a little bit of that, but not fully. There were things closed off. There wasn't any way to go around them. Yeah. But no, I don't think you're off base per se, Haas. I mean, there's definitely some, it's linear to a degree, but it's open enough that I think that you can overlook the linearity of it.
Yeah. 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 The other part is I remember one particular part, you get a rifle as Leon, and that really sets up the dichotomy between the two because you have Grace in the distance and you're picking off zombies as Leon and stuff. It's very cool. It's kind of the first kind of mix of it. Not to spoil stuff, but Grace and Leon eventually meet. That's sort of
wow.
I don't know if that's a spoiler or not, but and, yeah, right. But there's this cool very it took me back to Last of Us, those sniping moments and stuff like that. That you have these very clear, distinct roles between the two, and they kept to that very specifically. And as you said, Leon's is a less tense situation. You can throw fire axes. You have a much better melee weapon. You don't have a dinky little knife. You have a climbing axe that you can sharpen and keep on you the whole time. You're meant to feel like a superhero as Leon. You're meant to feel like the 5 and 6. That's the whole point. And as Grace, you are a much less capable person for this situation.
Do you think that this game, for maybe some of the development staff, was their opportunity to not retcon Resident Evil 6, but say, no, we've gotten to the point where we know how to do it right?
My initial impression when you first take control of Leon is that the controls feel very Resident Evil 6 like. It's very fluid. It's got that, I don't know how to describe it other than saying it's fluid. It's not as stiff, as the other games. And I I went back and played through Resident Evil 6 completely for the first time, maybe a year and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it solo because I wouldn't want to put Hoss through that. And, while I thought they tried to do too much at one time, that's why I think one of the reasons why it just didn't catch on is because it was stretched too thin. There were moments of it that I thought, especially story-wise, that I thought were effective, like with the president being assassinated by a bioweapon.
Yeah.
They don't retcon Resident Evil 6 and RE9. They actually call back to it.
Mm-hmm.
They have never rebooted, and I fucking respect the shit out of that. It's brave to take a lot of the baggage with you especially when you falter like they have at times.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And because as we'll discuss in the tier list, this franchise ain't perfect.
No.
It's one of my favorites. It might actually, outside of Quake, it might be my favorite, but it's special in the way that they are willing to just chew on and ruminate on, I won't necessarily say always mistakes, but choices, and say, how do I make this choice pivot?
Right.
And, like the way that in this one, and they say this in the trailer, they say this in the first, 5 minutes of the game, T-virus. And we haven't talked about the T-virus since the first game, because in the second game, it's the G-virus. It's different. It's William Birkin and his homies at the Raccoon City facility that were working with mutating shit.
Right.
And, and then they went on from there, and it was Las Plagas and all the other stuff. And, for them to loop back on this and go, no, all these people that experienced this disaster are potentially going to be involved in the ongoing story of future Resident Evil now. And I'll leave it at that. It's mysterious because I still don't really fucking understand all of it. Because once again, still haven't finished it. But oh my god, it's fucking great. And every time they do, and it's never long. This game is a fucking masterclass, and cutscenes are never longer than 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's fucking, but it's like, here's this awesome lore dump, enough for you to grab onto, and then we gotta go. And I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
After because I thought 7 was incredible. I loved Village a lot. I didn't like it as much as 7. Other than Lady Dimitrescu, who
step on me, goth mommy.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all learned to have a bigger appreciation for large women after that game came out.
Well, I feel like 9 was a deliberate shot at that, because they introduced an even larger woman and said, we're not going to make her a hot goth mommy instead.
And I will say that Pursuant character, is one of the best inventions they've ever made in here. And some of the scenarios that they have designed around that character are fucking incredible.
I like that the safe room makes sense now in this one, because you have the Mr. X safe rooms where you just get behind a wall. It's like, oh, you can't enter that room. Why? In this, they actually give you a reason why. So it's a lot of fun.
There's a mod for RE2 that removes that.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
So he can come in the fucking room now. It's like, ah!
X gonna give it to you.
There's a moment, you haven't reached it yet, Haas. There is a moment as Grace that the whole scenario and what's happening I found terrifying. And for me to say that about a Resident Evil game, I could say that about Silent Hill all day long. There are moments in Silent Hill games that are just terrifying, period. Yeah. Resident Evil, though, especially for the last 10 years, has been so action-focused.
Yeah.
That this caught me completely off guard.
Yeah.
And it's terrifying, but more than that, it's unsettling.
Nice.
And
awesome.
Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. because I mean, sure, people who have finished it already know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't wait for you to get to that moment, Haas, because I'm curious to see what your reaction is.
My plan is to finish it this evening. So,
okay.
Just because I had a major revelation, moment ruined for me on the internet. Just if you're out here and you're listening, and this sounds like something that you want to experience, I would really strongly urge you to fucking just be very careful on the internet, because people are being very. I mean, for this game to have only been out for a week when I saw this, for such a major, awesome plot point to just be so casually dropped with no spoiler tags on the internet.
Right.
I was a little like, come on, man, fuck. Just let me fucking experience something, man.
Right.
Like it was a great big bummer. It's like, it doesn't ruin the game for me. It's not like when I was working at GameStop, this was years and years ago. I was near the end of Red Dead Redemption, and an 8-year-old and his dad came in the store, and the 8-year-old just casually ruined what happens at the end of Red Dead Redemption, and then I never finished it.
No, that's
because I was so fucking bummed out because I was so invested in that character and what was going to happen to them. And it's I don't know that there's anything that's like that crucial in this game for that, but it's like I don't want you, if you're somebody who's excited to check this thing out, for you to have that joy taken away from you, because these moments, the ones that had not been spoiled for me, nearly every one, it's like, oh, I got to grab my phone and text Todd and go, guess what I just saw? And he goes, yep, I like that. And it's fun. Yeah. I guess that will take us to our, we'll call it a game of the day. Yeah, we're going to do a tier list for the Resident Evil games.
Our tier list for the Resident Evil game. We're only allowed this many, so I put a C and a D here, so that'll be kind of the same thing.
Okay.
But I want to make sure that,
okay, so there's no E.
Yeah, there's no E. I just had the F because, we'll put C, D, and E in this one. That's kind of like...
No, put E and F together.
Okay, E and F together. All right, so we'll do E and F together. So that's like the worst ones there. So we only get this many slots. So that's
okay.
This is what happens when you get a freebie, and I'm not. I already bought StreamYard. I'm not going to buy this thing too.
Well, if we use this, if we end up using this enough, I think I can contribute to the tier maker fund. But let's see how this first one goes.
Sure. But we've got them all lined up here. We've got 1 through 9 plus Code Veronica and 0. So. Let's go ahead.
Oh, and I want to be clear about this one thing for anybody listening at home, since you might be listening to the audio version of this and not seeing this. Mm-hmm. Since all of the remakes, the 2, the 3, and the 4 remake are all seen as good, if not better, than the original version, we're just gonna have Resident Evil 2 be Resident Evil 2. And in your mind, if that's the original or the remake, that's fine, because I consider them both of equal quality in different eras.
Right. Yeah.
Todd, would you agree with that logic?
I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. Totally. So yeah, we'll start with Resident Evil 1, the very first one, whether that's the PS1 version that you played or the remake that later came out for GameCube and PS2, 3. I can't remember all the ones that it came out for. But
and now it's on fucking everything. I think you can even get it on a phone now. And then when you said Resident Evil 1 on the PS1, I was like, so are you talking about Resident Evil or Resident Evil Director's Cut or Resident Evil Director's Cut Dual Shock Edition? Or
exactly.
It's 9 other fucking re-releases they added that.
It's that game in the mansion, not 9. So
yes,
there you go.
Okay, so Resident Evil 1. I am inclined to say that this is A tier, and the only reason I don't put it as S in my mind is because it's shorter. Mm-hmm. Like it's a especially on secondary playthroughs, that game is incredibly short.
Yeah.
Todd, what do you think?
I actually have RE1 as a B.
Interesting.
Compared to what came after, it gets bumped down because it surpassed so much.
Mm-hmm. I also had it as an A or a B. It's sort of like, because it's like, it's that first try. It's got a lot to it, but then like things stacked up like upon it. Like it has a lot of iconic things to it that really, obviously opened up the door for so much more afterwards. But like AB is kind of where I had it.
All right, I'll make a deal with you guys. I'll say we can put it as B, but I just want to make it known that shark segment as a child fucked me up.
Oh yeah. No, I think there are peaks in every one of these games, except maybe a few that people can like actually point to and be like, well, that part was like S tier, but it just, there's always going to be those moments and everything. But I think a B is a good, BA is like a good one. So we'll say B for this one for sure. Yeah. So, I think that's a good spot for it.
Sure.
We'll go to what is probably this might be my favorite of the whole series, actually, is Resident Evil 2. But, Todd, where do you put Resident Evil 2?
I put it in A.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. What did you say, Husk? I said about an A too as well.
Mine's a fucking S.
But, it was AS. I was complaining. I was like,
here's the thing: is that not only is it two incredibly varied campaigns, it's two hefty length campaigns. And it's not the Resident Evil 6 problem of it's just more. I think it's more and better.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to say A, I'll go along with it. But I think for me, it might still be my favorite.
I'm willing to go with S because this might be it's either this or 4 for my favorite. I'm willing to go to S with this one. I
can make a case for S. So if you want to put it there, go for it.
Let's try it out like a pair of shoes.
Right.
And as we look at it, as this starts to take shape, if we think some need to come down or some need to come up, we can wiggle these around.
Yeah, if something gets bumped down, that's fine. Because I think this, like, for me, Resident Evil 2, like, Resident Evil 1 is very clearly a B movie sort of thing. That was the whole idea of it, the act of it. Resident Evil 2, I remember when it came out, me and my friends played the hell out of that game. And it, like, elevated it to, like, oh, this isn't just, like, a B movie anymore. Like, this is actually, like, kind of, like, intriguing and stuff. It's still preposterous and crazy, but I really enjoyed the story.
I remember renting it from Blockbuster on a Friday.
Yeah.
And then playing it and being so blown away by it that I made my mom drive me to Walmart on Saturday and buy it.
Yeah.
And because I have to play this more than once,
Yeah.
So, fun fact, I think I mentioned this probably 100 episodes ago on the show when we talked about Resident Evil in the past. But Resident Evil 2 for the PlayStation 1 was the first game that I ever waited outside a store for on launch day. Nice. I got Mortal Kombat on Mortal Monday, but I didn't wait. I got it after school, but no, my brother was working nights, and the Best Buy was set to open early. It was like a Tuesday because games used to come out always on Tuesdays, and they opened early at 8 a.m. specifically for this and some record that was coming out on the same day. And so my brother picked me up, and we went and bought it. And I went back home and played 20 minutes of it with him, and then he took me to school because I missed the bus. And it was that, my brother doesn't game anymore, but it's it's one of those things that I always reflect on, it was cool having somebody that was willing to support my dumb hobby,
Yeah. Absolutely. Moving on to Resident Evil 3.
You guys aren't going to like my answer to this.
That's interesting. I don't have a whole lot of love for this one for some reason. There was I do now, especially the remake. I think the remake's a lot of fun. There was something about it to me when I didn't like the Nemesis thing for some reason. I just thought it was something about it felt kind of boring. I don't know what it was. And this was teenage years, back in that time. There was something that I wasn't clicking, and I didn't hang out with my friends and play this one as much as the other ones, which is weird because, Jill was the main character and she was, in the skirt. But, it just I don't know. It just for some reason I wasn't latching on to this one as much. It's not the one that I really think of. I think about it much better now than I used to, but, should we do Todd last if he's got the weird take on it? But I don't know.
For me, this game is a B. I would accept a C.
Okay.
I think this game is it was a really cool, like, when you compare Resident Evil 3 as like a 12-month turnaround sequel kind of thing to something like Majora's Mask, I think that RE3 was more successful. Majora's Mask being way fucking weirder, but like this felt like a complete experience. I also, in that first, RE3 release, the Mercenaries, I got a ton of mileage out of that thing. I know the campaign for RE3 is shorter and also really, starts to solidify in the Resident Evil franchise, don't get in a fucking helicopter. But yeah, like I don't know, like I'm gonna say I feel like B, but Todd.
So put a caveat with this. I actually like the original Resident Evil 3 more than the remake.
Okay, yeah.
Just because I felt like the remake cut a lot of content out of it that would have been fun to play.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a C.
Okay. All right. I'm okay with giving this a C, personally, because that's probably about where I had it. But
I'll accept that. I think there are things that, like, the courtyard fight in RE3 remake is better than some of the conflicts that were getting very redundant with the Nemesis that you would have in original RE3. But I also think that there are parts of the remake, like, I think the last boss fight sucks.
Yeah.
I just do.
Yeah.
It's just, it's kind of boring. But yeah, like I'll accept the C to D rating of that. Like I think as far as, when I start looking at all the heavy hitters that are still to come here, it's like, yeah, it doesn't sit up there with the big boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'd agree with that. Moving on to Code Veronica. This is one I have never actually played. So, never played Code Veronica. I didn't have a Dreamcast. So,
I have attempted to play it twice. First was on PlayStation 2, and then again on the Xbox when it got released. Mm-hmm. I've never finished it. I've been stuck in the same place both times.
The pain!
But I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Okay. Nice.
It's awesome. And what really sucks, and I know this is going to sound like the most condescending thing to say, what really sucks for you is that there's another half of that game after. It's the longest Resident Evil game. And the second half of that game is fucking better. And like it sucks that you haven't gotten to see it, which, if the rumors are true about next year that being the release as a remake,
I hope like hell it is, because I would love to finish that game one day.
It's oh man, leave that Leonardo DiCaprio looking motherfucker in there. Like, yeah, man, I'm into it.
I want to say the majority of my knowledge of this game is from the barely licensed Korean manhwa that came out about it, and that's the most I know about it, mainly because it's the only thing that has like Claire kind of in it. It's such a weird thing because it was like this, like, that's the Dreamcast's big get. They got a Resident Evil game, like that was like a big deal. And the only other thing is the Red Queen AI thing, I think, is involved with this one, correct? And that comes up in the movie.
The inspiration for that character in the movie comes from this game, but they're not the same thing. They're
not the same thing, yeah. But I know like Red Queen was like a thing from that, because like I was baffled in the movie about that shit, and people were like, "Oh, it's from Code Veronica." Oh, okay. I had no idea.
Yeah, it was just another one of their things. Like, in the later Resident Evil movies, they took the dude from Resident Evil 5 with the hammer, and it's like, and that's literally the only thing that they borrowed from Resident Evil 5. It's like, that dude with the hammer was pretty fucking cool.
We go with A or S tier for this one. You guys seem to enjoy it.
I'm inclined to say that this game is, if only because it's the hardest of that era of Resident Evil to go back to, just because they started injecting a whole lot more action-y stuff into it. And with that control scheme, it doesn't work that well, especially with modern hands and modern philosophy. So I'm going to go A, I want it to be S. I'm going to go A.
Okay.
I agree with A.
Yeah, I think A too, and that gives us a nice lineup here, setting up for one down at the bottom here, which I think is where Resident Evil 0 is going to go. I have a lot of grace with this game. I played it because again, I was the GameCube. The first console I ever bought with my own money was the GameCube. So it was always, N64 was a gift. The SNES was a gift from my brother. So I never actually bought but GameCube, that was the first one I bought with my own money. So getting the Resident Evil 0 game, I like Rebecca as a character. I think she's less explored than the others. She's kind of where I put Grace in a lot of ways. It's that type of character who's not super, ready for this situation. So this game sort of ruins her entire character in the Resident Evil series because she's already experienced all this stuff before even going into the mansion. So it doesn't make any sense, but I just like the character. So I don't know. I would put this one at a B. I know it's not going in a B, and I'm fine with that. But, the leech thing, I agree, awful. What do you guys think of this one?
F.
Yeah, F.
All right. If I'm going to, and I haven't given many yet, I'll give one olive branch. I would say this game's a deep, deep D. Mm-hmm. And the only reason being is that it looked great. It ran great. The swapping between people mechanic was at least interesting. I don't think it's used very well, but it was at least interesting.
Yeah.
I would say the highest I could possibly give it is a D fucking minus.
Yeah. I'm fine with it staying in F simply because I know it's not well liked at all. I do like your compliments of how it looked because it did for the time was a very
it looked
game.
Phenomenal.
It looked even better than the remake
on this, but no, it's bottom tier for me.
Yeah, I have no when they're talking about remaking this thing, I'm like, unless you're going to fundamentally rewrite the canon of this thing and have it make and go back to the original fucking idea, is that I saw one of those, I think it was Matt McMuscle's, one of those What Happened videos.
Yeah.
He talked about this recently. And apparently at some point, I think this was when it was still an N64 game, because that's where this started, was that she was going to end up being an operative of Wesker.
Yes.
And that's why she acts like she's never been in combat before. Right. She doesn't know anything about this, is that she's on the take from him by the end of this game. And I'm like, well, that at least... Kind of seems like it was going to be okay, but when they were remaking the original game, they insisted upon no, she doesn't fucking know anything. So then it left them at a certain point making Zero going,
that would at least would have made sense because you can find Rebecca's photo in Wesker's desk.
That's right. Yeah, that's true. It's true. So that'd have been good. That'd have been pretty good.
And maybe when they do the remake, maybe they go back to that because I don't see it making any fucking sense. And that's kind of the biggest problem for it. That and after you leave the train, that game goes off a fucking cliff as far as quality of content.
100% agree because I think the train really does hook very well. I think that's a very good hook for a game, but it definitely is not as good as it goes along.
Well, it's also the most Japanese-ass thing they've ever done in that series is the Japanese are fucking obsessed with trains because they ride them all the fucking time. And it's it's actually the closest they've gotten to a Japanese setting for one of those games.
Yeah, it's true.
But we'll F it.
F it because it lines everything up, and that lines up with my idiosyncrasy. So there we go. We got it all.
We got a heavy hitter coming up. So
heavy hitter. Yeah. I feel like this is just an S straight up. Resident Evil 4. I don't know if I have anything else to say about it. I think this is not only is it a fantastic game, it is a seminal game in gaming. That over the shoulder Naughty Dog style of game comes from this essentially.
We wouldn't have Gears of War without Resident Evil 4.
Right.
I was actually just about to say, if you were going to have one of those Mount Rushmore conversations of most influential games ever, it's this is up there with Mario Brothers because I don't think that entire 360 PS3 era, the modern cover shooter, the stop and pop gameplay, the, really fast and zoomed in over the shoulder camera view that makes you so much more immersed in third person games. All that shit came from here.
Yeah, cinematic adventure games with Uncharted, that all comes from this. It's crazy. So I think it's an A tier. It's got a dog in it. It helps you kill a giant. It's phenomenal.
And the remake's better.
And the remake is fantastic as well. So.
And I didn't think that was possible. I waited like a year. I kept telling Todd, I'm not going to fucking play that. I don't need to fucking play that because guess what? It's already the greatest game of all time. What the fuck are you going to do to it? And then I played it.
You fucking played it, and you're like, oh my god.
Oh, yeah. Shit.
They seriously made it better. They actually, the parts of that game that were, I think, we'll say mid-castle section near the end of that game, I think the game starts to slide down a cliff a little bit, and the remake didn't necessarily fix a lot of that, but it doesn't hurt. I don't stop playing the game when I get there. It's just not as good as some of that other stuff.
Yeah. Also has a character named Ramon Salazar in it, which is also a villain from 24. I just think is funny to mention every time that I talk about this game. Ramon Salazar.
It's the remake especially it earns an S rank simply because of Leon's delivery when he meets Ramon Salazar for the first time. He's like, "Who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you?" It's little Napoleon tiny man.
Yeah, it's the ridiculousness is not lost upon him.
And the other best one-liner in that, and there's a lot of good one-liners in that game. We talked about them in Resident Evil 9, but Resident Evil 4, very beginning of that game in the village where he goes, "Where's everybody going? Bingo."
I saw somebody online last night say that, when you live long enough to be playing bingo.
Yeah. There you go.
Leon's got dad energy now.
He does. He absolutely does.
Have we talked about on this show? They made a good looking character model. That was a good looking man. Yeah. They did a really good job.
Yeah.
It's because we live in an age now where it's coming back again of a lot of characters are kind of designed for the male gaze. It's like they made a character that's for the female gaze, and it's like there you go. Because it's like I don't think most chicks would be attracted to Chris Redfield and all his fucking juiced up muscle. That's not a look a lot of women really get into that much.
Boulder punching Batista build that he's got.
Yeah.
Man.
But all right, we'll move on. Resident Evil 5. Todd, you have a higher affinity for this game than I do.
Mm-hmm. I think primarily because when it first came out, me and a buddy played through this. We got the hardest difficulty. We did that together.
That was you and Leo, right?
That was me and Leo. And but in the scheme of things, it's a fun to play, but it's not a great Resident Evil game, I don't think, personally.
No, a couple of years ago, you and me got, 4 hours back into it, and we just kind of drifted off of it. It's it's from a time and a place, and it just doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
I put it with a C alongside Resident Evil 3.
I agree.
Okay. See, I think that's good for it. I'm with Todd. I had a bit of a good experience with this when it first came out because of the co-op play. I played with a couple of friends. It was a fun time, and I like Shiva. I think Shiva is an underrated, an underused character.
Where the hell's she at?
I know. I really liked her, and I liked the whole Chris's dilemma with partners, blah blah. And it's got a bunch of preposterous, action oriented stuff to it. This was after the movies came out, correct? Was this the movie? Yeah. So they had
this is around the time of the fourth movie.
Yeah.
It was the first Resident Evil on modern at the time.
Yeah.
The next gen console, the 360.
Yeah, so you had Super Wesker and stuff like that because they'd introduced superhumans in the Plagueis storyline. So they were like, we'll take Wesker and just make him super, why not? And that I still had fun with those though. I don't know what it was. Like there was still versus Jill versus Wesker, I thought were still kind of fun action sequences.
Yeah, I just thought the story's kind of weak.
It's not good.
Can we agree on one thing though? It has it is the one situation in video games where I'm never bring Wesker back because you fucking murdered that guy as hard as anyone has ever been murdered in a video game fucking ever. It's like, fucking in a volcano getting boulders thrown at him and shit. Like, fuck yeah.
To be fair, Heihachi also came back from getting thrown in a volcano. But, yes.
And so did Jin.
And so did Jin. They both did. If it's Tekken, volcanoes aren't on the power scaling level of Tekken. Volcanoes are not powerful.
Some gray bearded man is going to throw another man in a volcano. That's Tekken, bitch.
Right? But in Capcom, they're a little bit more powerful. I feel like there we go.
All right, Brandon, I'm going to let you broach the elephant in the room.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Resident Evil 6. Fun fact: I've actually never played this one. I just heard it was very bad, and I never jumped on board with it. I don't even think I've ever actually, because like sometimes I'll like watch or like get the skinny of like the story and everything. I know Sherry's back. That's about the only thing that I know about this game. I don't know anything about Resident Evil 6. I just know people hate it. So
I would say play through it once on the easiest difficulty, so you can just breeze through it.
Sure.
So you get the story.
Yeah.
Just so you have that little bit of lore knowledge. And that's it. Like I didn't replay it. I've only played through it once, completely. And I give it an E.
Yeah. There we go.
It's not as bad as 0, but it's still pretty fucking bad.
We'll put it in front of 0 then, right here.
So the one thing that I will say, I guess for Resident Evil 6 is, and I don't know if this is necessarily defending it, but it's just clarification, is that no one wanted to make that game when they made that game.
Yeah.
And so they had a couple different development squads. That's why there's different campaigns. Everybody was trying to find something to glom onto that would make sense. And they so instead of being a focused Resident Evil, it's just the most Resident Evil, because there's fucking 4 campaigns. There doesn't need to be that many. And other than the fact that it gave us the phrase President Evil, I don't know that there's much that I really get to.
Don't forget the logo controversy, because it looks like a giraffe filleting itself.
It does. It does.
Getting filleted.
Yeah. It doesn't look great. Yeah, I don't know. This one was definitely like everyone kind of jumped on board with this one not being great. Like, people had their reservations of 5 or had their criticisms of 5, but overall it wasn't like ritualistically hated. Everyone hated this one. They said it was too, like, if you're talking about like going away from horror and more towards action oriented stuff, like this one felt like it was trying to be what 9 is. Where it was like, with these campaigns we can be more horror-oriented, and then but then these we can be more action-oriented.
I think this was a response to the R-rated horror movies were out, and the PG-13 horror movies were in, and they were looking at something like, it can still be M-rated, but it needs to be something that, has not necessarily a lighter tone, but doesn't dwell in horror.
Right.
Because their goals for this, when it came out, Resident Evil 5 is still, I think, the best-selling game in the series, believe it or not. But, their goal for this was for it to sell like 15 million copies. And so their expectations were just really kind of out of hand. And that's why I think that, instead of the best Resident Evil, it tried to be the most Resident Evil. They were just trying to please too many people without a clear vision, and that's where it faltered.
Yeah. I'd agree with that totally. So
even like with how some campaigns played incredibly different than others, it's like it became like transparently clear of like, there are so many different people working on this game that don't talk to each other.
And so much so that like they put a rest on the main series for a while. We got some games in between. We had that Claire and Barry's daughter game. I remember
Revelations and Revelations 2.
Revelations and Revelations 2. That came out in between here. We don't have them on the list here. But a lot the mainline games were kind of paused after this for a while, I believe. So,
well, because they were building that new Reach for the Moon engine that would power Resident Evil 7 and still powers the series today. It was a fundamental change for their technology. They decided to lean. It was right around the time. It was, I wouldn't necessarily say a direct reaction, but they saw the emotional reaction people had to PT and said, yo, fuck it, man. We're moving Resident Evil to first person, motherfucker, with Resident Evil goddamn 7. And this game's an A, bitch.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I totally agree. I think this is definitely an A. Again, it revitalized the whole thing. They took a lot from PT, and they, upped the ante with what this was. Even if people hate Ethan.
Hey, I don't hate Ethan, but
I don't either.
I would say I didn't start hating Ethan until the next one. But Resident Evil 7 was such a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And, it wears its influences on its sleeve. You've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, first and foremost, with the family, which is a god-tier level horror film in its own right. And I'm not afraid to say this, like, this game, supported by TCM, was a big influence on my latest novel.
Nice.
And, just the family dynamic and how, something has happened to this family that is so fucked up and it has made them what they are.
Yeah.
And then you have this outsider coming in who's just like taking it all at face value without realizing, the cost that these people have endured. And, that and just the whole first person shift. The first person shift, but it wasn't really a shooter per se. You still had the classic Resident Evil elements of weird ass puzzles, trying to get into, sections of the house, and then later, the other places on their property, and it just, everything gelled. It should not have worked, but it did.
Yeah.
And also just extra points for the fact that when they revealed it, like before people knew what it was, it was just a demo, and it was a videotape, and it had a very Saw-like approach to it. And like that, it really blended in with the whole found footage thing, at which, at the time, and this is what, like 7 or 8 years ago?
I believe it was 2016.
Yeah.
Shit, has it been 10 years?
It's been 10 years. Good Lord.
It, found footage was really starting to take its hold in, the budget horror world.
Yeah.
And, it just fit right in.
Yeah.
Absolutely an A for me.
Yeah, for sure.
The one last thing that I'll say about this is that in very few instances do I think a technology makes a game. It in my opinion, and I'm not perfect, but I don't think it worked for Crysis. It gave it a reputation, but it didn't make a game. But in Resident Evil 7, between that new engine technology that on a platform that did not run games at 60 FPS very well at all, it ran 60 FPS even on the base Xbox fucking One. And then they also adopted PlayStation VR technology so that you could play the entire, 10-hour experience in fucking VR, seated and not having to wave your arms around and all kinds of bullshit. It was just focused on being an incredibly intense, claustrophobic experience. And I think between those two pieces of technology, they crafted a fucking masterpiece, man. And it's just, it is to this day one of my favorite games. I just replayed it, a couple months ago. Was talking to Todd while I was doing it, and I was like, I can't believe how just fucking good this is.
Yeah, intense is a good word. I think Todd used it for Resident Evil 9. We were talking about it earlier. Just like there's action scenes in this, but like the intensity in which they happen, the griminess that occurs around it. You have this action scene where you're driving a car inside a burning barn and you're trying to kill this hillbilly who just won't die. Like it's an action sequence, but it's terrifying because it's just like this like
it's claustrophobic.
Yeah, you're like trapped in this moment and like you're fighting this crazy hillbilly who just will not go down. It's like fighting Michael Myers. It's nuts, it's so fun. So.
Well, and I was going to mention this earlier, and we can kind of transition to the next title after I say this. So I think that Resident Evil 7 100% informs the gameplay for Grace's portion of Resident Evil 9.
Yeah,
and Resident Evil 4 is the inspiration for Leon's portion of that. And what's interesting is that in 8, in Village, they tried to combine 4 and 7. And I think what they found out is they had diminishing returns. So that's why you get 4 and 7 as different characters that you play as in the game. Because I think with Resident Evil Village, which I'm going to say, I think this game is a B.
Agreed.
And I say that if for no other reason than it's not as successful as 7 because I don't think it's that successful as an action game. I think the parts where that game is more explorative, I think are better. The open world bits I actually like quite a bit. Exploring through the town with the werewolves and all that stuff, I think is fun. I think the castle portion is okay. And I think the factory at the end is really fucking weird.
Is it mainly because of the guy? I forgot the guy's name that has the weird accent. He has the most bizarre accent of any character other than like Bane from
Heisenberg.
Yeah,
Heisenberg. He has that weird that I can't even mimic. It's just so bizarre. It's so weird.
He's like a discount Magneto and shit.
Yeah, I think this is good at a B. I had it in an A, like literally, like the exact. I have this game kind of on the same level as 7. I very much enjoyed this one. It's very different. I agree. There was something old school video gamey about it with like you have your hub port and then you got to go to these different 4 houses with these 4 crazy bosses that you have to experience a whole thing with. I really enjoyed that. So
I will say that the sequence in Village after the castle where you go to the house and it's the woman with the marionettes.
Yeah, the puppet girl.
The doll.
I think that and being chased by the baby.
Yeah.
Definitely informs Resident Evil 9.
Yeah.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah. And if anybody wanted to make an argument for moving that to A, I'm fine with that.
No.
I just think that, it's close. It's like a B+. I would actually almost slide this to the left in front of RE1 just because it's as high a B as you could get without touching the A.
Yeah.
I think it's fine in B because, like, if I were to replay both of them, I'd probably gravitate towards more 7 than 8 as well.
Well, and now that Requiem's out and how integral that is to modern Resident Evil, I think as a trilogy, 7, 8, and 9. That's a banger trilogy right there. There's usually one in a trilogy where you go, that's not the one, but
it's been a steady escalation for 7, 8, 9.
Well, and that's the thing is that 9's an S.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
9's an S.
People are loving it. I've only experienced a little bit of it. I haven't played it yet, but I've been playing it with a friend. He's been playing through it. It's awesome. I think this game is freaking cool. And as you said, like as we've talked about it earlier in the podcast, like just the references back to the original. I have a feeling that like early in development of this was going to be like we're redoing the first one, and then there was like kind of like actually we wanted to go back and do some more Leon and introduce a new character to kind of go in this direction, and I think that was a better call because it's sort of like it feels like it was going to be like this remake of the first one, but it was getting way too off base from what the first one was. And I have no actual insight as to if that's what occurred. It kind of felt like somewhere along the lines they were like, well, we're doing one remake because we're going back to we're doing a mansion and we're doing that whole thing. But something about this, like it has that lingering touch to it, and changing that into, like, as you said, this sort of redirection of like what 1 and 2 were and like how these characters experienced it, and if they experienced it and think that the way we think. That's a cool little way to kind of just like reference those things and bring it back to the old school without, ripping up old carpet. It's like kind of just.
But and the thing I like is that they have proven as a team that they are agile enough to circle back. It's like a football team that gets to the Super Bowl and in the second quarter realizes we're not playing our kind of football. And we're getting our ass kicked. We need to go back to the fundamentals. So this team is they're like any good organization that realizes when they do have even a slight misstep, they have proven over these last few entries that they are capable of circling back to what worked before, while also charting an entire new path at the same time. And the one thing that I didn't talk about earlier with Resident Evil Requiem, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here or anything, the one thing that I thought was such like a fucking success as somebody who has played like Senua's Saga and Senua's Sacrifice and a lot of these games that deal with characters that have mental trauma, and some of these games ad nauseum just feel like they're abusing you with the message about this person's past. Right. And it's how they do it in this game is with amazing voice acting and with her breathing and her mouth sitting agape in certain scenes, and just the ways that she delivers her performance. They never tell me if she's been in therapy, but motherfucker, I know she's been in therapy.
Yeah, and something I'll add to that I noticed immediately that I haven't seen really anyone talking about is that she's autistic.
Yeah.
She's absolutely autistic.
Yeah. Well, she's a data analyst, so that makes sense.
Well, I mean, yeah, but like they show it. Like she won't make eye contact. When there's a moment where she gets hugged and she holds out her arms because she doesn't know how to react. And, because it's a sensory thing. Like, I spotted it immediately because I myself am autistic. And I am like, girl, I sympathize so much.
That the hug scene you mentioned, I had just experienced that last night. So, and it felt very much like, okay, yeah, like, because even when she eventually reciprocates, it's this very awkward sort of situation, and she won't make eye contact with the one guy who shows up in the courtyard, even though it's like the first regular human she's experienced through, but she's still like kind of terrified because obviously she's been through a bunch of garbage. So you can tell that there's a little bit of neurodivergency there with her, and
absolutely,
and just the idea, but again, her performance is so good, and the way they make sure that she never, it's the juxtaposition with Leon, who drops the one-liners, who is totally in control of these, not in control, but is handling this situation as it comes to him. She is not, she's doing it. And that makes her a very heroic character, especially when she has that connection with the other character, which I don't really want to spoil, but she gains a connection with the character, and she kind of, toughens up and figures I have to go do this now. I have to go do this for them.
In her performance capture, the way that they have her, when things happen and you can see she's processing a situation, the way they have her eyes dart around, I fucking love it. I don't know what it is about it, but it fucking jives with me. It's just
it's realistic.
It is. It feels so fucking real.
And another thing that I love about her being neurodivergent is that they don't tell you.
No, they don't have to.
They don't have to. You can tell that something is not, not normal, but they don't beat you over the head with it. And, it's just nice to see that kind of inclusion in such a, large piece of media that has a lot of eyes on it.
And without it, fucking, it's, I hate to say it like this because it's too negative to it, because I played both of the games, the Senua games, the Hellblade, and Senua's Saga and Senua's Sacrifice. In the first one, it was like, oh, this is an interesting take on this. But by the second game, you're like, it's almost like they're rolling in their own sick. I know that's a horrible phrase for it, but it languishes in its own experience too much. It almost ends up feeling like self-indulgent in a way about it. Like it's almost like I say this not as something negative, but it's always like for people that have had something horrible happen to them or an affliction that has occurred in their life, don't let it be the only thing about you.
Yeah.
And for that character, I feel like it's literally the only thing that character has going for it. And that's what makes Grace so fucking successful. And for that to come from Japan, who's not always known as the most deft with dealing with a lot of these kinds of traumas and life situations, I think this is a fucking towering achievement. It's a fucking S, baby.
Yeah, totally agree. And there's our list, guys. I think that's got it. So we got some. I like our S list. I think this is the S tier, personally.
Well, and for the audio listeners, let's start from the bottom and work our way to the top.
Let's do it. From the F, we got Resident Evil 0. Boo, and a 0 point. In the F. In the E category, EF, Resident Evil 6, which is kind of universally probably where people would stick it. On the CD tier, we've got Resident Evil 5 and Resident Evil 3, which is a bit surprising. I thought 3 would probably get like a B or something. So from this crew, but I
can't win them. I can't win them all.
I can't win them all. It's fine. But and then the B tier, we've got Village and Resident Evil 1, the very first Resident Evil. There we go. And then in the A tier, we've got Code Veronica, which is very surprising. I didn't know this was that well liked by.
I told Todd that if he wasn't ready for it, if he was going to try to push this bitch down to like C or something, I was going to make an impassioned plea about this game deserving S or A status. But I'll settle for an A.
Yeah. At A as well, we also have Resident Evil 7. And in the S tier, we've got Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 9, all Leon Kennedy-centered games.
Oh, I just fucking realized that. Holy shit.
Yeah. Leon's the GOAT, baby. He's the GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT. The GOAT.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Yeah. Stuff. But
this is one of the best franchises in video games. It has had some of the most drastic missteps that you can possibly have as a franchise. It keeps fucking powering back, remaining relevant, and changing when they have to.
And when it hits hard, and it's so good.
Yeah.
This is one of the few horror franchises in games, at least, that I have followed, for most of my life, actually. And that's saying something, because I eat, sleep, and breathe horror every day. Like, I'm in the industry. I see a lot of this stuff. You can see all the books behind me.
Yeah.
That's all horror.
There's not a lot of fantasy back there.
No. And
not a lot of Brandon Sanderson.
No. And for me to see something that excites me in horror, it takes a lot. And Resident Evil 9 has just hit every mark for me. And I'm so happy to see that the franchise continuing to kick ass like it did in the 90s when it first started.
Yeah.
Well, and Silent Hill is back, and I know they're not going to make a sequel, but that Dead Space remake was fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'll reiterate once again. I talked about this on the Game of the Year show, and I wrote an article about it. Chronos: The New Dawn. Don't believe the hype. That game is fucking slept on. That game is so fucking good. I like it more than the Silent Hill 2 remake, and it's from the same team. Yeah. So if you were into that Silent Hill 2 remake and you haven't played Chronos, or you like Dead Space and you haven't played Chronos, dude, fucking play Chronos.
Yeah, Chronos is fantastic.
Yeah. Another female protagonist.
Yeah,
yes.
There we go. I have to give that a play around. I haven't. You've talked it up. I need to get on that for sure. But that's going to be our episode, guys, for VideoDestruct.com. Todd, bring us home. Where can people find you, find your work, find all that stuff? Thanks for being on.
You can find my work wherever books are sold. My novels, Devil's Creek, and my second collection called Black and Infinite actually re-release on March 17th.
Nice.
Through Bad Hand Books. You can find those wherever books are sold. Again, I'm online. My website is toddkeisling.com. That's Keisling. Mm-hmm. I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram at Todd Keisling. You know, if you are active in any horror fiction circles, you could probably find me there easily.
There you go.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. This was a great conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry we ran. We try to keep it at a tight hour, but we were having such a good time talking about something that we love, so you tend to go a little long sometimes. But
no worries, man.
We never keep it at an hour. It never happens. We talk too much. But yeah, this has been the Video Destruct podcast. You can check us out at VideoDestruct.com and all the social medias at VideoDestruct. We're back, baby. We had our comeback episode. We had some articles written. We took a 5-week break after our first episode back, but we're back again. So we're gonna try and go weekly or at least bi-weekly once again. But this has been our big return. Loved this episode. This is a lot of fun, and but we'll be back.
Wait.
Oh yes.
Follow me on Twitter at Hoss_buddy. I don't post a lot there, but it's a fucked up time to be on Twitter, but it's the best place to get sports news. So
it's true. It breaks really quickly. So there you go. All right, guys, but that's going to do it for this episode. We will see you later.